We live in a strange world, one marred by the unusual and the demented thoughts of man. But did a man really live with the dead body of one of his patients for several years? Did a lonely woman find friendship with a friendly ghost? Join us tonight as we're visited by a supernatural presence and forced to confront the grim side of humanity and to decide on what's fact or fiction.
The line that divides the factual from the unreal has long since blurred. The tales we once thought fantastical, now implanted as truth. To decipher verity from the imagined, you must break from the ordinary and consider a universe where the outlandish prevails. Can you expand your mind to see beyond our perceived reality? Can you decide what's fact or fiction?
You know, we all get lonely from time to time, but to be so lonely that you would manifest a mischievous spirit? That's what neighbors thought happened to Brianne Godfrey during the summer of '85. Everybody that she tried to talk to about it simply figured the loneliness finally got to her. Brianne, however, knew she wasn't alone. Apparently, neither are we.
I win!
You win?
Yeah, I win. This chump and I, we were playing chicken with a guillotine, and whoever won got to take Sally out, and I won. Yeah!
I'm pretty sure that makes you a loser.
No. You see, the object of the game to play chicken is to... I guess I didn't think that one through all the way, did I? Where am I, anyway?
Well, it would appear that you're in purgatory because you're in my basement in a box that I bought from IKEA.
IKEA? Ha! Figures I'd be in for eternal punishment.
Well, just make yourself right at home. Headley?
Headley? That's what we're going to go with here? Headley?
Well, you know, if the shoe fits, wear it. Oops, sorry, you can't wear shoes anymore, can you?
Shoe fits, I get it. I don't have any. What were you talking about anyway, before?
Oh, yeah. Well, I almost forgot. We're doing a little story time with YouTube. 3 stories, some fact, some fiction, and viewers get to decide. Hey, you want to play?
Yeah, sounds kind of dumb.
Be a little adventurous. And by the way, this first story, you're going to love it because it's right up your alley. Maybe even over your head.
They all thought I was mad, that being alone had finally gotten to me. I was never a person to need others. Even after my husband passed away and my children moved out years later, I held my own. It's how I was raised. Brianne had no problem finding the words she needed. This was a story she had told many times before, as she desperately sought someone who could relate to it. She was confident, more so than anyone with a broken psyche. My neighbor Jenny was the last person I ever told. She just laughed and laughed, thinking I was pulling her leg. They didn't get it. Frankly, neither did I. I didn't get how my possessions were always being misplaced and moved. A couch. She pauses briefly, shaking her head in disbelief. A full-sized couch was turned on its side on its own. Tell me, how does that happen? The first thing that happened was my diamond earrings. Oh, I loved them so much. Gary bought them for me before he died. Then one day, they were gone. I never wore them, always kept them safe in my jewelry chest in the closet. But one day, while cleaning, I noticed they had just vanished. I checked every inch of the house, every nook and cranny. They were nowhere. Then, magically, a week later, they were right there on top of the fireplace. The fireplace. After that, it was just madness. I'd come home from work and all my cabinets would be cleared out, the dishes and plates strewn about my counter. My furniture was moved. It got to a point where I put in a security system, fearing people were breaking in, but it never caught anyone. My kids were halfway across the country, so I knew it wasn't them. But it was someone because it was happening. Eventually, it all became commonplace. The moving jewelry, the missing clothing, the messy kitchen. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks into it, I called a local group, some paranormal team, that spent the night. They documented nothing and told me there wasn't anything in my house. Not that they were rude about it, but, like everyone, just confused. I invited them back once more, but they still walked away with nothing. It was like he, or she, I guess, only wanted me to know they were there. You know, they say I've gone crazy from loneliness, but it's quite the opposite. Sure, it can get annoying having to replace everything, but sometimes I just leave it. It's a game. I'm not alone anymore. At least I certainly don't feel like it.
A devious specter that grew on his host, or the creations of a deranged mind? Do you think Brienne really was living with a messy spook? Or is Brienne a figment of our imaginations? How about it, Headley?
Definitely fact. I mean, a ghost would totally misplace things. I mean, it's not like we have to remember where anything is.
Well, let us know what you guys think in the comments section, and also vote by using the on-screen polls. Now, let's get ready for a twisted tale that will leave you second-guessing the next online video game you play. His mother told him time and time again not to talk to strangers, but the video game universe made it impossible for him to shut them out. 13-year-old Dennis Handler nearly always listened to his mom, but when his usual crowd abandoned him on a night of playing World of Warcraft, he was left to make new friends to journey with.
Pandaria wasn't going to save itself, but Dennis's level 5 Pandaren shaman wasn't ready to take on the horrors of the world alone. So he scoured the public space, looking for a worthy traveler he could link up with. Everywhere he looked, high-level Pandaren gathered, a curse he knew he'd have to face for having joined World of Warcraft late in the game. Maneuvering through the masses, he saw another low-level character nearby, a warrior that would surely provide a great deal of protection. Dennis approached him and wasn't coy about what he wanted. Looking for a partner. Want to join? Was all he said. The fellow Pandaren remained still for a moment, as if the controlling player was engrossed in toying with inventory or was simply away. Hello, Dennis tried again. This time, he received a reply. Yes, let's go. And then they were off. Dennis trotted along with his new companion, the strange username, Your New BFF58, grabbing his attention on many occasions. The two of them enjoyed several hours of playing together before Dennis heard one of his parents sneaking about, surely preparing to yell at him to go to sleep. Before he logged off, Your New BFF58 told him to friend him and come back tomorrow evening, a playdate Dennis hoped to keep. The next night, he let his parents doze off on the couch before heading to his room to meet up with his new companion. Just as he logged on, Your New BFF58 went online as well. An eerie coincidence, but nothing more. Glad you made it, a message dinged on Dennis's screen. This session was a lot less about exploring Pandaria and more about getting to know one another. Your New BFF58, or Barry as Dennis came to find out, asked what felt like dozens of questions, mostly about his gaming and movie preferences. As the hours passed, the topic of conversation turned from Dennis's interests to his daily life, mostly revolving around whether he had a girlfriend or not. He thought it was weird, but went along with it anyway. At 2 a.m., the floorboards creaked outside his bedroom door, so he quickly rushed offline to get to bed. 2 days passed before he was able to get online, and just like the night prior, the moment he logged on, so too did Barry. He was supposed to play with his usual crew, but Barry got a hold of him first. You left quick, didn't say goodnight, Barry messaged him. Just like the last night they played together, it was less about World of Warcraft and more about Dennis. Realizing he had found himself a real nut job, He simply walked away as Barry's questions kept coming in. Dennis ignored them as best he could, but he noticed something alarming about one of his companion's messages. "I sent you something yesterday. You should get it in a few days," the message read. "To my house?" Dennis inquired, receiving a reply that even his teenage mind processed as a bad sign. "Yes, thought you'd like it, seeing as how you don't have a girlfriend." It was the last time the two of them had spoken. Immediately, Dennis logged off, removing Barry from his friends list before doing so. He tried to push the incident to the back of his mind, though he remained off of World of Warcraft for a few days. Just as Barry promised, a box arrived at his house, though he wasn't the one to find it. Curious about what their 13-year-old son was having shipped to the house, Dennis's parents sifted through the box and found a stash of Playboy magazines. A creepy gift from his new BFF.
The world of online gaming is filled with creeps. But could Barry have found out Dennis's address without ever being told? How about the fact that he seemed to log on at the same time as Dennis? Was it all part of an eerie lesson for Dennis to learn? Or was it just our own unsettling imaginations? What about you, Headley? What do you think?
I'm kind of torn on this one. I'm gonna say fiction.
Really? Why do you say that?
Well, they're playing video games late at night, and then Barry asks Dennis if he has a girlfriend. Duh.
Well, that's not very nice. You just don't really understand online gaming. It's fun. You should give it a try.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll thumb through my options, except for the fact I don't have any thumbs.
Oh, right. Sorry. Not sorry.
For all of you at home, let us know what you think in the comments section before we get to the part you've been waiting for, the reveal.
Let us introduce you to Mia Cisneros, a tuberculosis patient that, unfortunately, succumbed to the disease. Death didn't end her nightmare, however. It was simply transferred into the hands of Renard Kruger, a deranged individual with an unhealthy obsession.
Mia had hoped her last breath would finally bring her peace. But radiology technician in Key West, Florida, Renard Kruger, held a fondness for her that didn't pass when she did. In fact, it only seemed to intensify it. When Renard first met Mia after her admission into Marine Hospital, he felt like he already knew her. The older technician was given the opportunity to care for the beautiful Mia, and through that time, he became even more enamored by her. It was a feeling he couldn't explain, but everything he seemed to do was, in some way, an effort to keep her alive. Even as the disease deteriorated her body, he stuck by her side, watching her lose more and more of herself each day. In the fall of 1935, tuberculosis took Mia from him. After her funeral, Renard visited her as often as he could, standing at the mausoleum he commissioned for her. Mia made her own visitations, as Renard claimed, coming to him as he sang to her at her grave, imploring him to rescue her from her tomb. Feeling they were intended to be together forever, Renard decided to act. So, one quiet evening in the pitch black of night, he crept into her tomb and made off with her remains, bringing them back to his home. Mia looked nothing as he remembered, her body decomposed beyond recognition. Using wires, Renard reassembled her corpse. He filled her empty eye sockets with glass eyes and stuffed her chest cavity and abdomen with rags, hoping to keep the figure he had grown to admire. The more she decomposed in his possession, the more he did to preserve her. First, it was replacing her decaying flesh with wax-soaked silk cloth. Then, as her scalp grew more bare, he created wigs. Renard was in paradise, but it wasn't meant to last. 7 years after exhuming her corpse, Mia's sister caught wind of the grotesque rumors about the technician. After Renard was confronted, Mia's body was discovered. Despite his horrific acts, Renard was found mentally competent to stand trial, though it wouldn't matter. The case was ultimately dropped as the statute of limitations had expired, allowing the demented man to walk back into the world a free man.
We all have our own obsessions, but can they drive us to commit atrocities like Renard Kruger did? Could a man mentally fit to work in the medical field be so deranged as to try and live with a corpse forever? What about you, Headley?
Fact?
That's it? Just fact, no
Well,
exposition?
You are talking to a decapitated head in an IKEA box, so I don't know what to think anymore. I'm just throwing something out there.
Pretty sure you need arms to throw anything there, Headley.
Yeah, I'd give you a round of applause for that one, but...
Are you ready to find out if you can decipher between fact or fiction? Let's look back at tonight's 3 stories and find out which were born from reality and which were fabrications of the imagination.
Our first story dealt with a lonely woman and her unusual friend. Did Brienne really make acquaintances with her own friendly, albeit mischievous and troublesome ghost? While it sounds like a fun story, it's unfortunately not true. There are plenty of cases of alleged poltergeists, but this one is our own little creation. We know that creeps are all over the internet, but was Dennis's encounter with Barry a true cautionary anecdote or a complete fabrication? While we urge care with any online environment, this World of Warcraft experience was not cited from real events. Renard Kruger had an unhealthy obsession, but was it one rooted in reality? The horrifying truth is, yes, this is a real series of events orchestrated by Count Karl von Kassel. The radiology technician at Marine Hospital Service did have an obsession with tuberculosis patient Elena Milagro de Hoyos. After Hoyos passed away, von Kassel removed her corpse and sadly did precisely what Renard did to Mia. Well, Headley, you got 2 out of 3. You did pretty well.
Thanks. You know, you were right, that wasn't entirely unpleasant.
Well, I just figured it would take some weight off of your shoulders after such a hard day.
Why don't you leave the jokes to me? I've got a much better head for them. To get it, head? Ha ha! Got the last one in.
How well did you do in tonight's video? Did you look past the deception of our world and define the off-blurred line that struggles to separate lies from the truth? Let us know in the comment section below. And should you find the urge to test your perceptions again, be sure to subscribe and join us next time when we ask you to decide what's fact or fiction.